Hello everyone, my name is Salomé and today I'm going to talk about a reading strategy that is how to determine author purpose. So, identifying the author purpose is an important comprehension strategy for all readers to master. Luckily, it's an easy strategy to teach and to learn. That's because identifying the author purpose is pretty intuitive. So when we talk about this author purpose, we are referring to the why behind their writing. What motivates the authors to produce their work, what is the intent, and what do they hope to achieve with their writing. So here, in few words, the author purpose is like the reason why they decide to write about something in the first place. And there are many reasons why a writer put pens on paper, and it's important that our student and us possess the necessary tools for identifying these various reasons and intents. Um, because being able to identify the author's purpose accurately is absolutely essential if the students is effectively evaluate a piece of writing. That's the reason why us as teachers should start by taking with students about the reason why an author's writes. In general, there are three basic reasons for an author to write, and something we can find more. But the first one is to persuade the reader, to inform the reader, and to entertain the reader. Most students learn to use the following acronym when thinking about the author purpose. So this is a really good tool where P is for persuade when the author shares the opinion with the reader. A is for inform where the author presents facts to the reader. And E is for entertain where the author amuse the reader. So this my acronym is a helpful tool to use when introducing readers to the concept of author purpose. So now we are going to talk about this author purpose, and we are going to tell more details. So what are the different types of author purpose? And here a good starting point for students beginning to learn more about the different types of author purpose is to begin with the main three, as I said before, to persuade, to inform, and to entertain. Where this can easily be remembered with the PI acronym, but however, these three represent only like an introduction. But in the interest of covering the topic a little bit more comprehensible, we will talk about five different types of author purpose with some example of each in use and give a few helpful indication in identifying them. Okay, the first one is to persuade. And this is a very common purpose of writing, particularly in non-fiction writing. And when a text is written to persuade, it will like I aim to convince the reader of the merits of a certain point of view. And with this type of writing, the author will attempt to persuade the reader who agreed with this point of view and take a particular course of action. For example, this purpose can be found in all kinds of writing, and it can be in fiction writing. However, it's most commonly in the motivational behind essays, advancement, and political writing, such as speeches and propaganda. And how can we identify it? To identify when the author's purpose is like to persuade, a student should ask themselves if the writer is trying to get them to believe something or to take a specific action, when they should learn to identify the various topics, tactics, and strategies used in persuasive writing, such as repetition, various types of supporting evidence, hyperbole, attracting opposing viewpoints. So here the teacher have to teach the student how to recognize this persuasive writing. Okay, the second one is to inform. And when the author purpose is to inform, they usually wish to enlighten their readership about a real world topic. Often, they will to do this providing lots of facts, where informational texts are geared towards imparting information to the reader with the purpose of educating them on a given topic. For example, many types of school books are written to the express purpose of informing the reader. And added to textbook, we can also find encyclopedia, recipes books, newspaper, between others. And how can we identify this? In the process of informing, the reader is going to try to identify some facts, and this one is a survive way to spot the intent of inform. And in this case, a student must become adept at recognizing hidden opinions through the practice. So we have to teach the student to be aware of persuasion masquerading as information. So let's continue with the tier one, that is to entertain. When an authorship purpose is to entertain the reader, they will make a real effort to keep things as interesting as possible. For example, it's not surprising that a great deal of fiction is written with the aim of entertain, especially the fiction genre. And for example, we can find entertaining examples in science fiction, in romance, in fantasy, between others. And how can identify this? And when a writer is attempting to entertain or amuse the reader, they will use a variety of techniques to engage their attention, and they can also employ a lot of interesting things on the chapter. They may weave humor into their history, or even have characters telling jokes or something like that. So the fourth one is to explain. Here, the author wants to tell the reader how to do something, or reveal to them how to something works. And this type of writing is about communicating a method or a process. For example, writing with the purpose of explaining can be found in instruction, step-by-step guide, procedural outline, and receipts, between others. And how can we identify this? Often we can find this type of writing organized into bullets or numbered points, as it focuses on telling the reader how to do something. After lots of imperative will be used within the writing. Diagrams and illustration are often used to reinforce the information things or the explaining things. So finally, we have the last one, that is to describe. Here, often the writers will use the words to describe something in more detail. After all, they say a picture paints 1,000 words, and this test can help get us beyond the one-dimensional appearance of things. For example, we can find lots of descriptive writing in various places, like short stories, novel, and other forms of fiction, where the writer wishes to paint a picture in the reader imagination. We can also find a lot of writing with the purpose of description in non-fiction too. And in a product description or descriptive essays, for example. And how can we identify this? In this case of fiction writing, which describe the reader, will notice that the writer is using a lot of sensory detail in the text, where our senses are how we perceive the world, and to describe their imagination world, writer will draw heavily on language that appeals to these senses. So finally, let's talk about a little bit about some things that we have to take into account at the moment to describe and to recognize the author purpose in a writing. First of all, we have to take into account the gender, because according to all I say before, the teacher should teach the student to first of all connect authors a purpose to the gender, because the purpose of writing is almost always connected to the gender of the text that they are writing. And by teaching a student to connect the common genders to the author purpose can help them to set a purpose for reading and set expectation for the text. We can also centrate our attention in facts and opinions too, because moving a student to think about the author purpose beyond pie can make it easier for readers to comprehend what they are reading. That's because helping them to think critically, to reflect about what the texts are saying, and set a purpose for reading based on the author's goals as a writer is going to help them a lot. However, for many students, the task of distinguishing between facts and opinion can be a little bit hard. Why? Because opinion can easily be disguised as facts, and because I'm going to show you a sample. Here say, flamingo are interest birds. Their bright pink color makes them more beautiful than other birds. Because the sentence is about flamingos, many students can identify it's a non-fiction. This quick categorization might also let a student to believe that this is it's a fact, that flamingos are interesting and more beautiful than other birds, but they will be wrong, because these two estimates cannot be researched and proven. Therefore, they are not facts. Instead, these estimates are two examples of opinion, because other people might disagree with them. For other people, the flamingos are not beautiful, and the pink colors and don't make them beautiful than other birds, and something like that. And finally, we have to collect examples from the real world, from their context, because that's the most important thing, that they feel close to what they are reading, to they know that what they are reading is not really far away from their real world, because it's probably that the student don't think of authors as real people, because we rarely see pictures of the author that we read, or know what they have to say beyond the page of their books. So it's easy to think of an author purpose as isolated to the book they write. We have to help the student to draw like connection between the text that they are reading and the author who write them, by following the authors like social media profiles, and we can also collect tweets, interviews, and other short pieces of content that will deepen your student or student perspective on the author that they are reading. We have to try to use these short pieces of content to identify or not an author purpose is visible across all the content that they are writing. So now, it's really, as we seen before, it's really important to know how to recognize and how to describe the author's purpose, because this is a really